I'm sure you've had that moment where your kid gets in the car after school or just walks in the door after school, and you can just feel it before they even say a word because you can see it on their face. Their body may seem really tense. Or you just ask a little question like, "How was your day?" And suddenly they're snapping at you and yelling at you or ignoring you and running away, right? Or they could even break down into tears. And the worst part is the school told you or has been telling you everything is fine. So now you're wondering, why am I getting this meltdown? Why am I the only one who is seeing this? And that's the part we need to talk about because what you're seeing after school, well, it's probably not disrespect. It actually is probably a collapse that happens after your kid has spent the whole day trying just to hold it together. And I want you to look at this through a different lens just for a second, okay? Because this is not always a behavior problem. A lot of the time, this is an actual nervous system crash. It's an actual thing. Your kid may have spent the entire day managing noise and lights and transitions and social pressure and directions from the teachers and expectations and lunchroom chaos, recess, teachers, peers, masking, just holding it all in and maybe even trying not to get in trouble or noticed. And then they come home. And then home is the place where their nervous system just says, and it just finally lets go. Because it's saying, now I know it doesn't have to have so much pressure. And I know this isn't easy. What I'm saying is we sometimes misread what's happening and others misread it. So we respond in a way that usually, or sometimes, makes it worse. Because if we see it as disrespect or defiance or manipulation or them just being difficult, we usually come in a little stronger, right? So we may try to correct or help or lecture or ask questions. We may even demand an apology. We try to get them to talk. We try to jump in and fix it or support them. And that can be like standing in front of a wave with your hands, saying, "No, we're not doing this today." But that wave is still going to come. And when you try to stop a wave by standing firm and pushing against it, it's not going to stop. What is it going to do? It's probably going to knock you down. And then it starts rolling you under the water. And now everybody is under the water. And that's what happens in a lot of homes after school. The kid comes home like a wave. And the parent, already tired, already overwhelmed, then tries to stop the wave. But what if the goal is not to stop the wave? What if our goal is to learn to ride it? Wouldn't that be more fun? Because the waves are going to come and go. And some days they might be small. Some days they might be huge. Some days your kid can handle them a lot better. And some days they just aren't going to be able to handle one more thing. And either are we. And if we learn how to read the wave instead of fighting against it, we're going to respond differently instead of react. So when your kid comes home already dysregulated, the first goal is not a lesson or try to fix it. It's not going to be a consequence. We don't need a conversation. The first goal is just lowering the intensity of the wave. That might mean fewer words or no words at all. It might mean just giving them a little space and time. It might be, hey, letting them have a snack and water before any kind of questions. And it may even mean no demands for 20 or 30 minutes. It just might mean letting them decompress before any homework or a chore or talking about what happened at school. Because this has nothing to do with you. It's their nervous system. It's just flooded. And the thinking brain is not fully available at that time. So if you're trying to reason with a kid or ask them questions, if their brain and body are already in survival mode at the end of the day, you're not reaching them at all. It's not going to land. So what you're doing is just kind of adding more waves. And this is where we as parents have to become the thermostat in the room instead of the thermometer. Because the thermometer just reacts to a temperature in the room, right? The kid escalates and then we escalate. The kid snaps and we snap. The kid gets loud and we get louder. And listen, we've all done it, okay? But a thermostat, that helps set the temperature, right? It doesn't mean you're calm every second, and it doesn't mean you're never going to get triggered. That's not real life. It really means you start noticing, okay, the room's getting hot. My kid is overloaded. If I match this energy, we're both going down. So instead of jumping right into, correcting, you pause, okay? You might soften your voice and then you lower some demands in that moment. So this could look like you saying less or not saying anything. So you give their nervous system just a chance to come back online. And that may sound like this. Hey, I can see today was a lot. You don't have to talk right now. Or something like, let's get a snack first. We can figure out the rest later. Or I'm going to give you a little bit of space. So I'll be here when you're ready. Or even say to them, straight out, I'm not mad. I can see you're having like a really full day. Now, does that mean there are no boundaries? No. We must have boundaries. Boundaries still matter. Safety still matters. So that comes first. Respect still matters. But the timing has to matter equally, just as much. So a kid in the middle of a nervous system crash is usually not in the best place to learn a lesson or to access skills they already have. So later, when they're calmer, that is when you can come back and say, okay, let's talk about what happened when you got home yesterday. I know you were overwhelmed, and we still have to work on what to do when your body feels big. Okay? That is the difference. And that is, that difference between trying to force a lesson, in the middle of this meltdown. So if your kid falls apart at school, you want to try to look at it this way. They may not be giving you the worst of themselves, okay? They may be giving you what is left after the world just got the best of them all day. And that does not mean you ignore it. It means you understand it differently, okay? Because when you understand what is actually happening underneath the behavior, you stop fighting that wave, like trying to push against it. You stop getting knocked under with them and you start learning how to ride it, okay? That's what we kind of just talked about here. And that is where things begin to change. And not because your kid suddenly never melts down again, okay? They're human, they're teenagers, but because you are no longer reacting to every wave like it is a personal attack. You're reading that wave. You're responding instead of reacting to it. You're becoming the steady point in the room. And for a kid whose nervous system is already overwhelmed, that steadiness matters so much more than we tend to realize in the moment.